Hello, and welcome to this first lecture of the section on project implementation timelines and how can we determine reliable timelines. As you know, I am Arun Singhal, your management coach and mentor with 40 years of experience in people development. So, what are we going to go today in this section and in this lecture? In this section, we will give you an in-depth understanding of how can you determine project implementation timelines, reliable project implementation timelines that can help you build excellence in solution design, right? And in this lecture, we're going to talk about two specific things. We'll try and understand what does it take to determine reliable project implementation timelines and understand how to determine reliable project implementation timelines. In next three lectures, we will spend on defining the project and planning the project so that we can have a reliable, we know how to determine reliable project implementation timeline. Wonderful. Ready to go? Great. So, what do you think? What does it take to determine reliable project timelines? What is your thinking? Okay. What it takes to determine project timeline, a couple of things. There are six things that I have for you on the slide in front of you. We need to have a well defined project. We need to be clear about what the project is all about, and it should be properly defined. What is it that we want to achieve? What are the constraints? And we will talk about in one of the lectures on how to well define that project. Second thing, we must have a capable project manager. So the project manager must be able to lead the team, must be able to lead the project and determine the right timelines and take it forward to its successful completion. Now, project cannot be done by the project manager himself. So you need a committed and capable team. That there should be a team that is committed to doing this project and has the capability of doing this project. Then having the some resources and right resources of the project manager, having the definition and team, we need to define the project. We need to plan the project. So we must have a good project planning process in place that the team and the project manager can use to determine the reliable project timelines. And then we must have adequate resources to make sure that the projects get done, the activities get done as planned. And the last thing is there must be stability of the project requirements. The requirements can keep changing. Customers' requirements keep changing all the time. Somewhere we have to kind of freeze the requirements for the customer for the time being. And if they are very critical to change, we must have understanding with the customer or the client that hey, the project timings can now change. So these are the six things that are needed to make a reliable project timeline. Make sense? Wonderful. So, how to determine reliable project timelines? I think having understood the factors that will determine the success of a reliable project timeline, I think we can make some guesses, right? Okay. So, here is the process that I have for you to determine reliable project timeline. The first thing, we should assign a capable project manager because that's one of the critical success factors. Second thing, we should define the project requirements very clearly. What is it the project about? And we will talk about in one of the next lecture actually of how to define the project's requirements very, very clearly. Then we must allow the project manager to pick the right team because if the responsibility of delivering the project on time is with the project management, we should give him or her the freedom to pick the right team, the committed and capable team. Then we need to train the project team on project management process. How do we plan? How do we execute? How do we define? All that. And once we have the team in place, we need to then hold a project planning meeting with the team, including the resources that are required for the project. So we get everyone's input in making a reliable project timeline. And finally, we must have an understanding with the project client about the need to keep the project requirements stable and with the proviso that we can change the requirement, then the project team has the right to go back and look at the project timelines and come back whether it can be done in the same time or does it require additional time in that. Right? Makes sense? Okay, so what are we going to do in the next lecture, to lecture 2? So, as I was mentioning to you, we will get into defining the project requirements clearly so that we can determine the project implementation timelines rather well. So, thank you so much for watching this first lecture of project implementation timeline section. I hope you've got some understanding of what does it take to make a good project timeline and what is the process. And now we start getting into defining the project clearly in the next lecture. I hope you're beginning to enjoy this session, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lecture.